Hello everyone, my name is Matthew Crichton. I am a student recruitment officer here at the University of Dundee, and I am very lucky to be joined here by Morag Matthew, who is one of our admissions officers. Do you want to say hi to the folks at home, Morag?
Hi, everyone.
Brilliant. And we are here today on what is a kind of very sunny afternoon in Dundee for us, just to go through some frequently asked questions that we get asked about our admissions process. So we found these are the questions and these are the issues we get asked about most often. And Morag and myself are just going to have a little chat about them and hopefully give you the information you guys need. So the first thing we're going to speak about is UCAS references and referees. So this is more for teachers and advisors. There have been some slight misconceptions or some slight changes about how the UCAS referee or UCAS references are supposed to work. And we thought it'd be useful just to remind our colleagues from schools and colleges just what they should be doing with this. Now, Morag, if you want to just take us away, where can our friends, our teachers, and our colleagues from schools across the UK, where can they get some advice and guidance about this?
Well, UCAS have provided a very good video and slide on which we have provided a link for you. This gives very good information about the things that are important to include, the things that are helpful to include, but just lets you know what is required and what isn't really required. We don't need to know lots of information, personal information about applicants. What we do need to know, however, is that referees should be providing on the reference if there is any circumstances that may have impacted on the school or college. So for this year in particular, COVID-19 has obviously caused quite a lot of disruption. So perhaps your school was closed, you experienced a great deal of disruption due to the examinations. And of course, as everyone knows, the examination this year chopped and changed quite often within a matter of days as to whether or not we were accepting examination results or predicted grades, etc. So if there is anything that you feel as a school impacted, you should mention that. But the most important thing to include, if there are any extenuating circumstances that the applicant may have experienced, especially in regards to COVID, but any health issues, anything at all that you think impacted on that particular applicant, which may have affected their examination results or their ability to attend school during that particular academic year. The other thing that's very good to and important for us to be able to assess an application is that referees actually provide information on about the applicant's academic ability. You are asked to provide their predicted grades. Most schools or colleges do provide that information. But if it's not possible to provide predicted grades, especially from colleges, it is very important that you let us know just how well the applicant is doing on the course and what you think they are likely to achieve. If they're going to exceed highly in their examinations, it's very important that we know that.
Wonderful, very comprehensive answers, Morag. Excellent.
Thank you.
I'm certainly learning things as we go through this little conversation.
Good. Um, you will find some helpful information in the link on UCAS, though. They do provide very good information, especially for the referees themselves.
Fantastic. I suppose, folks, if you need to check that link, you can just rewind this video slightly. But now on to a little bit more information for our applicants. So our last slide was for our teachers and advisors who'd be supporting our applicants. But if you are a student who's looking to apply to Dundee, we very, very often get asked about work experience. And the thing we get asked most often is what courses actually require work experience at Dundee. So I'll hand over to Morag to answer that.
Okay, thank you, Matthew. Most of the courses which require work experience are what we refer to as our professional programmes, which are medicine, dentistry, education, nursing. And they do require some level of work experience, but there will be flexibility this year as we are aware that due to COVID, it hasn't been possible for applicants to gain work experience in schools, health practices, because obviously places were closed, or it's just not possible to follow the COVID regulations that have been set out. If you do have work experience that you have already obtained, then it is very important that you mention that in your personal statement. If you are applying for these courses, such as medicine, dentistry, education or nursing, it is important that you do let us know that you do have that work experience. For some of you, it may be that you did try to gain some work experience and you may well have had some experience set up, but it was cancelled. So we were aware, particularly this year, that some people had set up time with health practices or schools, but they were not allowed to undertake them due to the COVID restrictions. But it is helpful if you do mention that, because we know that then that you have at least attempted to gain some experience. What counts as good experience will vary depending on which course you have applied for. The level and the amount of time that they class as good relevant work experience will vary from course to course. But I suggest that you have a look on our individual course web pages, where you will get more information about what each course is actually looking for.
Wonderful. Thank you again, Morag. And it's worth mentioning that there is a lot of information, not just in work experience, but on a whole host of subjects on our website and on each individual course page. So if you've managed to find this video, you can probably very easily find the course page for whatever degree you want to do with us, and there'll be a lot of information there. Brilliant.
Well, one thing I would just add as well, Matthew, if anyone does have any individual questions about any of what we speak about today, then they are very welcome to contact us, and we can give them more specific information based on the course that they're applying for.
We certainly can. We actually love to hear from applicants, folks. So even if you've already applied to us or you're thinking about applying to us, there'll be some contact details at the end of this video where you can get in touch and we can answer your queries. Now, one of the queries we ask or get asked quite a lot is the notion of acceptance rates. So how many people are accepted onto a particular program, and like what's the percentage of success or failure for people who apply to Dundee? Now, these probably don't really exist in the way that you think they probably do. So it's quite an American notion, this idea of acceptance rates. I think what most people mean is how many people are accepted onto the course. Now, this can vary hugely. It might be that if you apply for history this year, maybe just lots of very, very smart people with really excellent grades have applied for history, and it means it's a more competitive year for that program. It could be that depending on your fee status, whether you're from Scotland, the rest of the UK, or you're an international student, it could be the acceptance rate for your fee category is different from another fee category. If we're to give you a rough figure, generally speaking, the acceptance rate for most courses at Dundee is about 10 to 20%. But we don't have hard numbers for every single course because those can change massively from year to year. One thing to bear in mind is that medicine and dentistry are particularly competitive programs here at Dundee. We do very well, we're highly ranked in these courses, and it tends to be lots of people apply. They are very, very competitive. They will have slightly lower acceptance rates perhaps than other courses across the university. Other ones to add there, I think law is a really quite competitive program too, but certainly medicine and dentistry are amongst our more competitive courses. There we go, guys. Again, acceptance rates, a little bit of myth busting. They don't really exist in the way that you probably think they do. But is there anything I've left out, Morag? Anything you want to add?
No, that's exactly what it's like, Matthew. From year to year, it can change, and obviously depending on the course that you've applied for. And as you have stated, courses like medicine and dentistry are highly competitive.
Oh, it's wonderful. I'm glad I got everything right, Morag. I feel like I've
Oh,
achieved.
yes, very good, very good.
I'll move on now, Morag. So we get lots of questions asked, particularly this year. Maybe it's because of COVID, maybe it's because of other factors. We're not quite sure. But this year in particular, we've had lots of questions about deferring your entry to Dundee. So when can people defer, Morag, and like how does that work? And we'll just kind of chat a little bit about deferring.
Applicants can apply for deferred entry on their application. And when we're assessing the application, we are not taking into account what year you've applied for. So for instance, for entry this year, we will be considering the applications, whether they are for 2021 entry or 2022 entry. They'll all be treated the same.
Oh, so I'm right in thinking then, Morag, that when people apply this year, they can tick a box on UCAS to say they don't want to come in 2021, they'd rather apply for 2022.
Yes, they can select the year that they wish to apply for.
That's very exciting.
We will consider them all the same. We do prefer that applicants apply in the cycle for the year that they wish to start. So, for instance, we would hope that people would apply this year for 2021 entry. However, if they do apply for 2022, they will just be treated in the exact same way. Applicants who have applied can contact us to ask if they can defer before the 31st of March, and it's likely they will be allowed to do so. However, after that date of the 31st of March, because of time constraints, for us to be able to be sure of exactly how our numbers are working, etc., we would not be able to consider a request for deferred entry unless there were some kind of extenuating circumstance, such as the applicant's illness or accident or something like that would prevent them from starting.
Terrific. Thank you very much, Greg. Now, another question that we get asked quite a lot, I think people are quite paranoid about this, and entirely understandable that they are, but have there been more people who have deferred this year because of COVID-19? So I think people are worried that because of COVID, more people are deferring, and it's going to mean it's harder and harder to get into university. Have we seen any evidence of that?
COVID has had quite a lot of impact in admissions to universities this year, as well as to applicants' school examinations. We have received requests for people to defer because of various reasons connected to the COVID-19 circumstances. But I would have to say that we have only seen a slight increase in the number of people that have requested compared to any other year. So it's not likely to have a major impact on our figures because everybody has suddenly been accepted and deferred to next year. No, we're pretty much on a normal, even keel.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Morag. Again, if you're one of these people that you were frightened that it was going to be more competitive to get into university this year or maybe next year because of COVID, it doesn't look as though, from our perspective, that's going to be the case. So good news for all you folks out there. Fantastic. We move on now. So we get lots of questions about our interview process at Dundee, and we get lots of questions about our stage 2 interview tasks. Now, that sounds very technical and very scary at first. It's really not. So, Morag, would you want to tell us a bit more about our interview process and about how our stage 2 tasks work?
Thanks, Matthew. Nothing at all should be scary about applying to the University of Dundee. For as far as interviews go, we do have some courses which you do require to undertake an interview. And obviously, we were also impacted by various regulations to do with COVID. So for this year, again, all of our interviews will take place online, and no one will be asked to attend the university because obviously we're not actually on campus at the moment. So they will all be held virtually. Most of the courses that are interviews are, again, your professional programs, medicine, dentistry, education, nursing, oral health sciences. And the platform that we would be using is Blackboard Collaborate. Now, for a lot of you, like me, that's something you'd never heard of before. However, don't worry too much about it. You will be given very clear guidance and links in the interview invitation about how to access Blackboard Collaborate.
Yep.
And it is all, you know, very slick, and certainly nothing to be nervous about or worried about. But if you are selected for interview, you will be sent information in an invitation, which will give you some instructions about how to access the link, what you need to do prior to your interview, and what will happen at your interview. And also, if you go to the individual course pages, you will see that along the tabs that we have at the top, including entry requirements and fees, etc., there will be a tab which says interview. And if you click on that, that will give you some other helpful advice.
Brilliant.
But please
Wonderful.
don't be nervous.
Oh, definitely. Please do not be nervous, folks. It's all,
No,
we're going
not
to
at all.
we're going to do as much as we can to support you, even in these very difficult times. I believe that as of recording this, the very first couple of interviews have actually taken place this week, which
That's
is
correct,
wonderful.
yes. Yes, this week we've already started that and all going very well.
All going very well. I think there's a very small minority of people, like a tiny, tiny, tiny percentage of people who had difficulties accessing the platform, but they were allowed to reschedule their interviews. So
Oh
even
yes, we'll do everything that we can to help and support.
Wonderful. So, Borak, in addition to the interview process, some courses actually require maybe an additional task or a portfolio. Can you tell us a bit more about those, please?
Yes, certainly. Some courses do not need an interview. However, there is a second part to the admissions process, and two of these are art and design courses. So that's your animation, illustration, the general foundation in art and design. Applicants who are going to be considered for these programs will be invited to submit a digital portfolio. And full instructions are given into the system that we use, where you will actually be able to upload your portfolio to your record that we hold for you, and you will then be assessed based on your digital portfolio. It may be that some applicants may be invited to submit additional work at a later stage, but there will be no great requirement for you to do that. The portfolio task that is sent to you in your invitation to submit will include clear instructions as to the types of work that we would like you to include and how many individual slides you need to provide. The other one that has an additional task is our architecture course. Now, it's not everybody that will have to do this, but depending on the entry level subjects that you're studying, we may ask you to submit a creative task as part of your application, but we will contact you with full details after our initial assessment if this does apply to you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Morag. As I understand it, the architecture task is quite fun. So I think typically we ask you to go out into your community to sketch some buildings or to sketch some environments for architecture. And again, just to re-emphasize, it is always a digital submission for art and design. So if you are one of, I've seen some very, very talented young artists who apply to us and they're really worried about sending their portfolio in the post. Don't worry, it's all digital. You don't have to send your work physically to Dundee, because if you're worried that we lose it or it gets lost in the post, that's not a concern. You submit digitally to us.
Exactly.
Fantastic. That brings us to the end of this short FAQ, folks. We hope this information has been really useful, and I hope you'll join me in thanking Morag for her time and expertise. She's been absolutely wonderful in providing all this info for you. So a big hand to you, Morag. Bravo.
Thank you, Matthew. I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
Terrific. Now, if you do want to contact us, folks, you can see all of our social media handles down the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. And there's also my email address. So you can drop me an email. And if you ask me a question, even if I can't answer it, that's perfectly fine. I can forward it on to someone like Morag, who's much more knowledgeable than myself. And hopefully they can answer it for you. But if you've got any questions, there's all manner of ways to get in touch with us. You can use my email. You can email contact us at dundee.ac.uk, which is also all over our website, where you've probably found this video already. But please don't be scared to get in touch with us. Now, other than that, I just want to say goodbye. Thank you so much for tuning in, folks. We really appreciate your time, and we hope we can welcome you to the University of Dundee very soon. So from Morag and myself, have a very pleasant afternoon, and we'll see you very soon. Take care, guys, and goodbye.
Thanks. Bye.